After going through the stage of scribbling on sheets of paper, at a young age, my parents taught me how to write. They started off teaching me my alphabet and my numbers. Then they taught me how to spell my first, middle, and last name before I began kindergarten. The first thing I remember writing was a card I wrote for my aunt who lives in New Jersey. The first time I wrote a piece that I was proud of was in first grade when I wrote a letter to my mom for Valentine's Day, and I expressed to her how much I loved her and was thankful for her. After giving her the card and watching her face light up with joy, I was even happier to know that she loved it and that I made her happy. As a child, I loved writing. I liked writing because it was the only way I could express myself and my thoughts, both negative and positive, without anyone hearing and without getting into trouble. I kept several journals, which were all given to me pretty much as gifts. Nowadays, I do not really enjoy writing that much at all. There are so many requirements, rules, and formats that we have to use as an adult, especially in school, and it has definitely taken a toll on my feelings towards writing. My writing style has definitely become much more eloquent, educated, and structured. As a child, I would make a lot more grammatical and spelling errors in my writing, but now, as I'm older, I tend to check my writing over before I submit it and make sure my spelling and grammar is corrected as much as possible. What I enjoyed about writing as a child was that I had more time during the day to sit down and write my thoughts in a journal. It was as if I was writing my prayers to God instead of actually praying. I also enjoyed keeping a journal with my best friends and passing it back and forth whenever we saw each other in our school hallway. What I like about writing now is that there are so many ways to get your thoughts out. If I am near my computer, I can type up my thoughts and feelings. If I am near my iPad, I can easily type up my homework assignment. I can even use my phone and write up little memos and then email them to myself. The most frequent thing I have caught myself doing is speaking into my phone and having it type the message for me. Making grocery lists would be something that I do pretty often and need to do in order to remember what I need to buy at the store. When I was in elementary and middle school, I used to always read from two book series that I loved. One was called The Amazing Days of Abby Hayes by Ann Mazer, and the other one was Amelia's Notebook by Marissa Moss. These two book series were about two girls named Abby and Amelia who would write in their journals every day about what was going on in their daily lives. After always reading these journal like novels, it inspired me to want to write my own journals with hopes of publishing it myself when I got older. As a child, I found it most helpful when my teacher would start us off with a sentence such as, "One day, Mary and Jill were walking to school," and then we would have to complete the story using our own thoughts and ideas. That is one of the strategies I remember the most because it was always so fun to hear all the different stories my classmates came up with. I honestly cannot remember many of the writing strategies that my teachers taught me as a child. All I remember is that I hated FCAT writes, and it seemed as though they loved it. But of course, now I have realized that they probably hated it just as much as I did. As a teacher, I want to start my students off with keeping a journal composition book. This will be their personal journal that I will collect, read, respond, and get back to them, which will helpfully encourage them to write more. None of my teachers did this with me as a child, but I realized that when I was free writing about myself and my life, I was able to release my tension or anger, and it was something I came to love doing. Hopefully, I can encourage my students to enjoy writing